So the previous weeks we have been talking about the different structures of the face and how they make up our face, what pieces you need to follow, what pieces you need to look at to really start to try to accurately portray some of these pieces on the human body. This week we're going to focus on the ear. Last week we focused on the eye, and then the previous week was the skull. So we are moving right along to the ear, and this one's going to be kind of quick, but it will be something that will hopefully give you, a little better understanding of the pieces and where the markers are on the body. All right, let us keep this bad boy rolling. Okay, so the ear. So the parts of the ear, start by carving out the auricle, not the oracle, but the auricle, which is the part of this outer ear. The helix is the large outer part of the ear. This guy right here. Then the antihelix is the large part of the inner ear. Then you have the concha, the inner ear, right in here. You have the targus, is the hard no of the inner ear. Right here. That little, I call it the dangly bit. Right? That little hard part of your ear that holds, that keeps your headphones in, that keeps your head buds tethered in your ear. If you have a small one, you're gonna have trouble keeping your Apple ear pods in your ear. And then you have your ear lobe. All right, and then your anti-targus right in there as well. So it's a pretty simple. It's a pretty simple body part, but to get it looking right, it can be a little complex. So we're going to take a look at it. Here's some of it kind of broken down. We're going to sculpt it, and then we will move on from there. So let's open up our ZBrush, and we will focus on this. Okay, so today, what I want to show you guys how to do is bring in reference. All right, so we're gonna, because reference can really help you guys, especially when you're learning some of these parts, to at least rough them in the right area and then move on. And in general, whenever you have artists who do things all the time, I think, what did my teacher say? I think the rule that my professor told me when we were in school is, if you have a task that you do repetitively more than like 3 times or 4 times in a day or per project, make it into a tool. So what you'll find out is that there are people who, they make certain types of characters, so they have toolkits for their character. So they have like a set of ears, a set of hands, male hands, female hands, a base face, base sculpture for a head, a nose, eyes, right? Like they have all of these kind of spare parts ready to go that they can just pull from different places. So the better you guys get at sculpting these, you might want to eventually start sculpting your own base meshes. So like you'll have a base ear that you can throw on, and because the ear is one of those parts on the body when it comes to a video game that it's rarely seen, right? Like can you remember one character with a noticeable ear that you can remember, unless it's like an elven ear, right? Like that's not a piece that you really notice on game characters. So usually you have like a template cookie cutter ear that you use. You can just slap on a character, looks good, you move along, right? But you still have to learn the basics of doing it. So let us add an image to our scene. So if you go into your texture panel right up here, You scroll all the way to the bottom. There's this part right here called image plane. You can load an image into your image plane, and what I'm going to find is my anatomy for sculptors folder, and I'm going to find my ear. So here's my ear right there. So now I've got my image in here. So now I can create a subtool. So this has just brought an image plane into it for me. So I can, now I'm going to append a cube or plane, or you can start it with Z-spheres. However you want to start it, it's up to you. So now I'm just going to use this. I'm going to draw out my ear here, and then I can edit it. The reason it's red right now is because I have this wax clay. I'm going to turn it into a skin shade. Alright. So let's move this guy a little further. Move this guy down. Let's turn our image plane back on. Just gonna move this. I can hit draw. And then there's a few things I can do to my image plane. So my reference views, if you go to reference views, you can go to front, back, and you can add image planes to all of those. Alright? I'm going to go back to my front view. Scale this. Okay. Here's my X-ray view. Okay, there's a way to, there we go. So right here, if you go into your reference, I'm going to reduce my opacity. So I can reduce my model opacity so I can see through my Okay, so now my box is a little see-through, and I can go to my geometry and divide it a few times. Just going to move it down like so. Now if I hit draw again, I can then draw, right? So now I've got my reference here of my my reference in the background, and then my object in the foreground, and I can see what's really going on, right? And then if I want to go back and I want to say, okay, I can't really see what's going on with my model, I can go back and increase that opacity back up. All right, so I'll do about maybe 85 or something like that. And then what I usually do for something like this is, because, okay, so for this one specifically, I said, so I'll do BDS, that's your Damien standard tool. So you might want to just cut in, right? Actually, let's go to my stroke. And then I'm going to turn on lazy mouse. Lazy mouse is on. I'm going to increase the smoothing of my lazy mouse so that it's nice and smooth. Right? So shift smooth this out. So let's go. I'm going to go all the way back to when I first. Alright. So the easiest way to do this is let's go back to my stroke. Let's increase the lazy radius. So now, whenever I do something like that, I can, boom. And this is just bringing out those shapes. All right. And then I can use this to cut in, and then I can go B, C, B, and then I can use this to just kind of, let me reduce the intensity, just to kind of sculpt these in. Maybe I'll do my lazy mouse again. Lazy mouse is L on the keyboard. I'm gonna turn it on, and then not really doing much for my clay brush, but you guys can see. So now that I can start to just rough these shapes in. Earlobes down here. Right, for these, I want you guys to think about this like you're studying these parts, right? Like, I'm not expecting you to be Michelangelo or Da Vinci, but I expect you to at least try to see and understand what is going on with a lot of these. So you've got another one of these shapes here. So maybe our earlobe is like so. Shift to smooth it, right? And this is kind of like cheating. At this point, we're just kind of tracing this. Like, it's more like we're tracing, right, the ear rather than actually sculpt it. And this is perfectly fine when you're learning. Actually, this is perfectly fine if you're doing, because sometimes you need something anatomically accurate, right? The boss says, hey, I need an actual ear. Well, you better go find you some reference, right? You best to go find reference that you need, that you can find, so that you can get it accurate to what it is, and you're not just guessing, right? You might not be good at anatomy yet. Well, this will get you part way there. All right? This assignment should take you 30 minutes, an hour, right? You're learning these pieces, you're learning the parts. It shouldn't be too long, it shouldn't be too tedious. But once you start to understand it, right, now we can go back into our texture, and then I can turn, I can turn my opacity back all the way up. All right? So now we've got an ear, right? The only thing that's wrong now is, well, our ear isn't protruding like it's supposed to. All the anatomy is correct as to where it's supposed to be, right? But we don't have it cut out. So BDS, let me cut this out like so. So BMV, that's my move tool. Right, I can go back down. I'm going to reduce my subdivision level. Then I can use this to kind of pull this out. Right? Now I can go back and increase my subdivisions again. BCB. Maybe even reduce my intensity a little more. Just getting something a little more painterly. Right. Some people's earlobes are obviously going to be bigger than other people's, right? That's fine. I'm not going to make fun of you. Not in front of your face anyway. All right, we'll say it behind your back like good people. Huh? That's the right thing to do. And then, if this person wears earrings, you can add an earring or an ear hole. Then maybe, you want to go even further. You want to take it a step further. You can append a ring here. All right, grab your little ring, move, rotate. Oh, it's frozen. Okay, there you go. Let's move, scale it down. Let's move it out a little bit more. There we go. Now our ear is wearing hooped earrings. Alright, you want to take it even a step further? Right, you go here, you go draw, and then you draw a little bit of skin forming around the ear. Right? This gives it a little bit of realism. Right? Like, oh, this person never removes their earring. Alright? Maybe this person, frequents rock concerts and gauge their ears or something. You know, you never know. I'm not here to judge. It's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to do art. I'm not here to judge you based on your life decisions. Those are your life decisions. Just here to, you know, sculpt it. So yeah, we've got our ear done. And that is going to be your assignment. Does anybody have any questions for me? Comments, concerns? Don't really like rock, but you're more of a rap person? Okay. Well, if you guys don't have any more questions for me, today has been a short class. Hopefully you guys got everything you need. Don't forget to post in the thread so we can take a look at what you're working on and give you guys some critique and feedback. All right? Have a great day, guys.